So based on the previous video, I justified why I should look at these three things to see whether a resource is good. I showed that in the Victorian and Queensland exams, it appears that the majority of people got these things wrong and continue to get these things wrong year after year. So isotopes in mass spectrometers, complex carbohydrate structure and function, and the alcohol groups in IRs. I'm going to use that to compare all the different resources. I don't really think it's fair to include the Oxford and Pearson textbooks because they're sort of rushed through at the very start of when the syllabus first started, just to give you something to work with, and it's their best guess. They disagree with each other on depth and breadth because of that. And there's also they're sort of locked in. So they sort of write this thing and then they're locked away, and you just use this thing and it doesn't get updated. So it can't really compete to be relevant. So the little things, if you're really going for 100%, they're not going to be able to cut it. It's good, to get you, 80% of the work down. But trying to get that 20% of the hard stuff, that's not really what they're for. I was going to buy these notes, and basically all the other resources I was considering investing in having a careful and close look at them. And so as far as I got was here, and I realized, look, it's just not even worth looking at, to be completely honest with you. As soon as I see this 2023 to 2025, massive red flags. I'm updating and improving my videos all the time. And so you can't have something that's actually going to be valid for 2 years. Most things aren't even valid for 6 months. So that's the first major concern. I'm thinking sort of game breakers. They're everywhere, game breakers, to be honest. And then for some reason, students are sort of happy to have notes from other students. And so if I go down here, I'm reading what they have here. And this student didn't even get 99.95. And I don't know what they got for chemistry. And so this student here, well, they got A's and excelled. Not the sort of person you'd want to have notes for. And I guess it doesn't really matter. If I go down here, this is what they want you to see. New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria. Getting 80%. Well, if you're only after 80%, sure, pay the $32. It's not going to get you 100%. I guess I care about this one. Books are written, people who have been through it and know what the exam is like and how to study for it, which is really helpful. Well, I can tell you teachers definitely know how to study for it, and they're the ones who have been through it and do it and know every exam for every year. So I don't get why students are going to risk getting lower scores from other students. This one's quite damning too, actually. There are multiple errors, completely wrong, contradicting the text. Looks like it hasn't been reviewed before published. Newer versions. These guys are busy doing their degrees, man. They don't really have time to write quality resources. So I don't think there's any point me actually having a good look at this. I don't think it's worth actually taking a decent look at. I think it's a game breaker. I think unless it's a qualified and experienced chemistry teacher, it's not really worth looking at. And so that is my impressions of Atar chemistry notes. Not in the same league. I'm sorry. Now, Atomi was another one I looked at, and basically the moment I saw the two videos that were just done by students that sound like they're just out of high school or maybe still in high school, that was just a game breaker for me, and that was, no, I don't want to see any more, thanks. It's hard enough for experienced and qualified teachers to get it right. Students are just going to be a mess. And then looking at the price, it's like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money, $470. Wow. Okay. Yeah, not worth going any further with that one. Now, STILE doesn't have stuff for seniors, so it's not really in the running here, but Education Perfect does. But its questions are extremely basic, to say the least. I did even get a job. Well, I didn't get a job, but they offered me a couple of thousand to write better questions for them. But a couple of thousand's not really worth it at all. Maybe if they offered me 20, 30,000, I'd think about it. So basically, the quality of their questions. I know as a teacher that does have access or did have access to this, that's not really a place to go either. So I'd say probably the best places to go for quality resource would be the published tests. And so let's have a look at those. Now I do have access to the QATS, NEAP, and Total Education Queensland papers over 2020 to now. I only saw about 2 or 3 times that there was even a Spectra question. And I did skim through them, just the paper twos, because that's where the questions will be that I'm sort of using for the criteria here. Basically, would you get 100% if you just used their papers? And definitely nothing on the isotopes and mass spectros. I think there was 1 or 2 questions, but they were very simple. So actually, the practice papers, they're good. I've got like a couple of dozen now, just quite overloaded. Getting up to, well, it's quite a lot, almost 20 papers, past papers. But the fact is, it's not going to put you at the very, very top. You might not even get 100%. So, yeah, as you'd expect. So I don't know if I've missed anything. Let me know if there's any resource out there that I'm not aware of. I think I've definitely got all the major ones, all the major publishers, websites, and so forth. And they're not good enough. I think I'm far more comprehensive. I've probably analysed. I'm not quite sure whether any of these individual publishers have done a full analysis of each other's works and the interstate papers and have decades of experience. So I don't know whether they're really up to that standard or not. But I've just come into the conclusion, the biased conclusion, of course, that my website is definitely in a league of its own and the other resources don't come close. Okay, time to go to a bit fairer competition, I think. Big shout out to Dr. T Does Chemistry. Subscribe to him today and get him over 1,000. He has a PhD in chemistry, 40 years teaching. That's the sort of person I'm going to trust. I did have a look at this one. He does touch on structures and solubilities in parts. I would like it set out better, like I've got it on a PowerPoint where it's all the bits and pieces are nice and clear. So thumbs up there. I think he's really focused on just getting students, to 90% and higher. So this is a very good video, as all his videos are, but he has actually missed the isotopes and the tricks in there. So then again, I think his stuff is so good it's worth watching as well. But I've definitely got the little tiny bits and pieces that'll just push you up the curve just that little higher than other people.